Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. In this video we are going to make our character shoot the bullets towards where the mouse position is currently at. So if the mouse position is here, for example, the bullets should go toward that direction. And same as if our mouse position is here, the bullet should go in this direction. To illustrate what I mean further is I'm going to play the game, and now my mouse position is here, so if I click that, there we go, you can see that it's going exactly where my mouse position is at. There we go. So if I move it here, for example, you can see that it's going right there. And as you can see now, we have a slight problem, and that is our bullets are staying in our scene, in our hierarchy, so they keep going somewhere in infinity. And that's a big problem because that would affect our performance in the long run. And in the next video, that's what we're going to be working on. So in this video, I'm going to make it the character shoot at where our mouse position is, but in the next video, we're going to be removing all of these bullets once they go out of the boundaries of this game window. Alright, now I'm going to so that's what you're seeing. That's the current script that you have. And apologize if you hear this music. That's some ice cream truck outside. Hopefully it will be gone soon. But anyway, so that's what you're having right here. Now there are a couple of changes that we want to do. What exactly do we want to do? We want to get first off and foremost is we want to get the mouse position. And how are we getting the mouse position? Well, that's actually pretty easy, and that is we need to create a vector2, and the vector2 is going to represent our mouse position. I'm just going to call it mouse pos, and since we're going to be working with the mouse position, we don't really need the x direction and the y direction anymore. So we can delete them. There we go. And we might as well just delete this right here and this right here. Okay. So we still need to get the rigid body because we still need to access the velocity of the bullet. Alright, then how do we get the mouse position? Well, first we need to say input.mouse position, and that would give us the mouse position. However, we have to further specify something here, and that is we need to say mouse position is equal to camera.main.screen to world point, and as you and basically, okay, let me put in the mouse position. Here we need to actually say input.mouse position. Now there are a couple of things happening here, and when we say camera.main.screen to world position, as you can see here, it says transform position from screen space into world space. And by world space, what we really mean is in these boundaries here. That's how we're getting it. So if we only had input.mouse position and we didn't have this screen world point, then it wouldn't work. And I'm going to show you after we have the script ready what the behavior would be like if we only had input.mouse position and not this whole line over here. For now, we're just going to stick with that. And then what do we need to say? Well, kind of what we need to say is we need to access the velocity, and then what we need to say is mouse position multiplied by speed. However, we are not quite there yet. There's one thing that we are missing, and the thing that we're missing is we need to create another vector2, which I'm going to call direction to shoot. You know, that's going to represent the whole position on the screen of where we want our bullet to go towards. So we're going to say new vector2, and then we're going to say something like mouse position, and I'm going to explain the logic behind this in a second. So we're going to say transform.position.x. So we're getting the x position of the mouse basically. So if the mouse is let's say here, right, that's where our mouse is, we're going to get the x position of the mouse, right? And the transform.position.x is going to be where our character is at. So basically, for example, here, so that's where the transform.position.x is, because we're getting basically the transform position x of the bullet, and the bullet is instantiated where our character is at. Hopefully that makes sense. And then we're saying mouse position. We have to do the same thing, however, with the y coordinate. So this is the mouse position dot y, basically the vertical position. So for example here, and this is the transform position y of the bullet, and this is when we instantiate it, when we instantiate the bullet. And again, this is where our character is at. So now that we have done this whole thing, there's only one thing left to do, and that is change the mouse position to be equal to the direction to shoot multiplied by the speed. I'm sorry, we need to basically set the velocity to that. We don't need to change the mouse position to that. So now that we have done that, basically that's all we have to write in terms of code. So I'm going to save that just to see if it works. And okay, there we go. It just goes where my mouse position is. Now, okay, the logic behind this mouse position dot x minus the transform position x, and the same thing with the y position, is basically this determines the direction to go to, right? So this is our transform dot position dot x, right? And let's say our mouse was here, then we would get the mouse position dot x and y for that matter, and we're going to subtract that from the current position of our character, because that's where our bullet is being instantiated at. And then that means that it's going to go to that direction. If I change that, however, so let's say I had transform position x like this, and then I said minus the position x. I'm not going to change that for the y position because that will be enough for you to see, but let me save that. Go to Unity. Let's rerun that now. Now, if I point my mouse here, see where the bullet goes. It's going to the exact opposite x direction, and that's because we are subtracting this position where the bullet is. No, we are subtracting the we're subtracting the position of the bullet where it's instantiated minus where our mouse position is pointing at. So it's going to the reverse direction. So that's the logic behind this. When we say mouse position x minus transform position dot basically the mouse position x and the transform position x, which is where the bullet is being instantiated. And we could say this transform dot position dot x, but why would we write it? Because we don't need it. And again, I said in the previous videos that this refers to the current object. And what's the current object? The current object is the bullet. So when we say this transform position x, again, we're taking the transform position of the bullet, of the current object that this script is referring to. And again, I said that I'm going to show you what would happen if we didn't have this world thingy there, so the camera main. So I'm going to have only input.mouse position, which again, as you can see here, it says the current mouse position in pixel coordinates. So it seems okay, but if I run that, you see that actually nothing is happening because we need the world space. So that's why we need this, right? So transform the position from screen space into world space, and then when we get that world space, we basically get the mouse position. So now if we run that again, we should see a fully working script that throws bullets where our mouse position is pointing at. And as you can see, we have a couple of misbehaviors with our bullet script, but we're going to be fixing that in the future. Now, our next objective is removing these bullets, because I'm going to show you something. I can go and create a update method here really quickly. I'm going to say debug.log, and I want to debug the transform position x. And this is going to be logging the transform position x of the bullet. So if I run that now, let it compile, run, and watch the console carefully. So if I shoot a bullet, you can see that it keeps going. You know, this is the X position, so it keeps going somewhere into infinity. And that's a huge problem, right? Because not only is it not deleted, but it's still doing something in the background, so we don't want that. So that's what we're going to be fixing. And again, if I keep shooting, you can imagine what's happening here, like ton of text. So that's a huge problem, but that's a problem for another video. And again, thank you guys for watching. I didn't even say it, so I don't know why I said again, but thank you guys for watching, and see you on the next video.